Okay, it seems to be holding steady. All right. So as I was saying before, that the real question is Ghost of Yotei going to suck because we have failed Dragon Age writers going to work for Sucker Punch now? Not necessarily. Sure, these are the people that just tanked a studio and they also destroyed a beloved franchise. But it doesn't necessarily mean that Ghost of Yotei is going to suck. Like, guys, the thing about us is that we are very good when it comes to pattern recognition. We're able to pick up on red flags. Now, a product can have red flags and still be a good product, yes, but that doesn't mean that red flags should be outrightly dismissed because there's a chance that they may not really lead to anything substantial in the future or down the line. When I look at Ghost of Yotei, I see red flags, I see patterns, and they concern me. Like, for example, I was thrilled when I heard that Sucker Punch is launching a sequel to Ghost of Tsushima, right? We've been waiting ages for this, and we finally got word. It was a new protagonist. I was a bit taken aback, but that's fine. The first red flag is that the voice actor of our protagonist is a deranged left-wing extremist, talking about defunding the police and fighting for trans rights and all that other gibberish and nonsense. Now, does this mean that the game is going to be bad? Of course not. That would be ridiculous. But it is a red flag. It just had me thinking that, like, Sucker Punch, are you guys sure that this is the person you want representing your game, your studio, your brand? Red flag number 2. A photo comes out representing what the team used to look like and what they look like now. In the old photo, there's a lot of guys, a lot of testosterone. The second photo had a lot of women, as well as, you know, some blue-haired lizards and feminists or whatever you want to call it. Yeah, they were also there. Or maybe I'm being disingenuous. There was one blue-haired individual, but yeah. Is that a red flag? Yeah, sort of. It kinda is. Does that mean that the game's gonna be bad? Of course not. Don't be ridiculous, man. It's just a red flag. The thing about pattern recognition is that if you find yourself walking in the middle of the woods and you happen to stumble across a bear, the first thing you like to think is that, oh my god, I have such freaking bad luck, or woe is me, I'm about to die. Makes sense. However, if we rewind your steps a bit, we may find out that you came across a tree that was scratched out and you thought it's a very nice tree. Nature, so beautiful. And you ignored that red flag, telling you that this territory is a bear's territory. Now, whether you recognize that it's a bear's claws or it's something else, it doesn't matter. The point is, the red flag was there. You saw it or you didn't see it. You proceeded further into the woods. You come across bear poop. You think to yourself, damn, that's a funny looking pair of shit if I ever seen it. But you think to yourself, it's probably not bear poop, right? I mean, all kinds of animals come around, you know, crapping all over the place. You're like, nah, it's nothing. So you continue further into the woods and you come across a bear. The point is, you may or may not come across a bear. But if you so happen to come across a bear, it would be your fault for missing to read the red flags. So now with Sucker Punch, they've introduced some failed Dragon Age writers onto their bandwagon, right, of inclusivity. Now these writers, John Dombrow and, what's her name? Is it Caitlin Woods? Courtney Woods, that's her name. So both these individuals have worked on fantastic games in the past, right? They worked on Mass Effect. They're basically the OGs, but they've also worked on some of the worst games that BioWare has ever released, such as Anthem, Andromeda, and now it's Dragon Age. I get the argument that these guys are good though, you know, like they made Mass Effect 2, it was such a fantastic success, but I can't help but feel it's almost the same as saying that this chef, this renowned, amazing chef once cooked the best steak for me. 5-star, first class steak. Mwah. The best steak I've ever had in the world. But recently he's been serving me expired plates of tofu or cheeseburger or beef burger, whatever you want. Now, is he still a good cook? Yeah, right? Yeah, sure. But I'm not willing to gamble on that, you know, seeing his recent dishes as to how they actually turned out. That's all I'm saying. Now, the fact that we have these writers, there are also others, but the fact that we have these two now being promoted to be working on Ghost of Yotei, it's almost like these guys crashed a boat or a ship and have now been promoted to world-class airline pilots. And it's like, but why though? Like, why and how? So then the question still remains. Does that mean that Ghost of Yotei is going to be a really bad product? Of course not. Not necessarily. Stop being silly. However, personally, I'm starting to feel my optimism slipping for Ghost of Yotei. And then the other thing is, Ghost of Tsushima was announced back in 2017, right? In 2017, we still had wokeness, but it wasn't as prominent, you know, as it is today. It was just trickling throughout the years, right? Slowly gaining momentum over the years. It it wasn't until 2020 whereby wokeness just came out and made a declaration of war. Because in 2020, Last of Us 2 dropped. And when Last of Us 2 dropped, my goodness, Last of Us split the fan base. It was incredible. So it was like wokeness basically making its calling card saying, guys, I have arrived. We have officially entered the age of wokeness. So my point is, Ghost of Yotei was developed in that cultural context whereby wokeness was leading the charge, you know, and everyone was pandering and virtue signaling, doing all those things, right? So it wouldn't be a stretch to think that Ghost of Yotei may have some of those inclusive virtue signaling pandering elements baked into its DNA, which would make sense in seeing that they're recruiting people of these left-wing ideologies that align with the woke toxic mindset. And unfortunately for Ghost of Yotei, the cultural context now has also shifted. Gamers are now seeing red. If they so much as catch a whiff of wokeness, the fallout is usually like okay. It doesn't matter whether it's a false flag, they do not care. They want nothing to do with it whatsoever, guy. And to be honest, guys, I don't actually blame us though, because we've seen these things before. We've played these games before. We saw it with Suicide Squad. We saw it with Dustborn. We saw it with God of War Ragnarok. We saw it with Last of Us 2. We saw it with Spider-Man 2. We saw it with Dragon Age.
I played these games before!
Now guys, don't get me wrong. I want Ghost of Yotei to succeed. I want it to be the best game I've ever played. The best game that anyone has ever played. I don't want to see another legendary studio shut down because it embraced ideologies that had nothing to do with putting the gamer first. I do not want that. So then we still ask ourselves the question, is Ghost of Yotei doomed? Not necessarily. I keep saying the real question that we ought to ask ourselves is, no, come on, guy, not again.